You might have heard the term frugal lifestyle being thrown around quite often recently, but do you know what it means? What is a frugal lifestyle? And what advantage will it offer? Let's explore this in today's video. Being frugal means giving thought to each and every purchase you make. To do so requires you to give your routine purchases a certain amount of thought out consideration. Although many may feel that their social and experiential lives are being stifled or eradicated by this approach, it is certainly not the truth. Every person can gain something by adopting a more frugal way of life. A frugal life is long term, while cheap living is short term. One of the benefits of adopting a frugal lifestyle is the increased financial flexibility it provides. Spending less and making do with what you have so you may save up for the things you want is the key. Now that you know the basics, let's delve deeper and see how you can implement this lifestyle. To begin is the most crucial phase. You have already admitted to wanting a new, healthier connection with money and a chance to improve your spending patterns if you have chosen frugality as a lifestyle. Everything in your life where money is a factor should be considered as part of your frugal lifestyle. We can't just decide to be frugal. It's more of a habit we develop and put into practice every day. Gaining proficiency in this area requires constant practice, much like building a muscle, but without going so far as to burn out and give up. It is important to make the most of the tools at your disposal, especially if you've never taken a modest approach to your spending before. You shouldn't expect to adjust to the lifestyle like a fish to water. If you want to ease into a more frugal lifestyle, it's best to start by focusing on one area of your expenditure at a time. Once you've established good habits for saving money in small activities, you may move on to finding ways to cut costs at more significant places. To that end, we have compiled some generalized frugal living advice. It's up to you to decide how quickly you want to tackle each of the ones that apply to you. 1. Hobbies. First, let's discuss hobbies. Hobbies are great for keeping you from frivolous spending, but they may also add up quickly. Sticking to the same interests is the key to keeping your spending in check. It's important to make a firm decision before shelling out cash to ensure that you will follow through. Otherwise, you are better off letting the thing go. While satisfying a hobby, purchasing a musical instrument is a typical example of an impulsive purchase. Have you ever noticed how many homes have a drum set stashed away in the basement or a bass guitar gathering dust in the study? When incorporating thrifty practices into your pastimes, you should always consider the degree of your interest. If you think you might be interested in learning guitar but don't want to commit just yet, figure out a way to get your hands on one without buying one outright. Find a store in town that rents out musical instruments, or see if a musician friend of yours has a spare that you can borrow for a week. Despite this, you should do your best to maintain the lighthearted spirit of a pastime. Don't place too much weight on it or stress yourself out, or you may end up abandoning your interest and having to start looking for something else, which could put a damper on your attempts at frugality. 2. Vacations. Ways to save money during the vacations. The idea that saving money implies you have to forego celebrations is a common misconception. Without them, we risk becoming overworked and overly sedentary. This has the potential to wreck our cheap budget through excessive spending on nights out. To save money on vacations, you can try not to overwhelm yourself. Instead of dashing from place to place on your trip, settle on a location and get to know it through and out. You can also choose road vacations over flying. It's important to consider your vacation's needs before leaving. Is what you want from a weekend getaway to be a flurry of activity at various restaurants, bars, and theaters? Is there tranquility instead? It's important to plan the correct vacation so that you can return to work without feeling like you need another break. This will help decrease the frequency of vacations and thus spending. 3. Food. It's common knowledge that cooking in bulk and then freezing portions is a good way to save money. Prepare meals that can be reheated and stored for longer times. When searching for recipes, try to include terms like student budget or cheap to narrow down the results to those that fit your financial constraints. The internet is a great place to get recipes, but it's also filled with unreliable tips and tricks, so it's best to stick to the books. You may want to host some friends or family for dinner to show off your culinary skills. One of them will owe you dinner. If this becomes a weekly occurrence, you'll have a free meal once a week. Making a food schedule for your home is another option. Those who don't want to cook often eat at restaurants or get takeaway. If you are eating alone and want to reserve some for lunch, order enough food for two and share. Find meals in curries, rice dishes, pizza, and other cuisines that lend themselves well to being reheated as leftovers. Set aside some of your weekly food budget for social dinners and choose the day or days of the week when you'd rather order in and enjoy the convenience of not having to cook. 4. Transportation. And last but not least, we have transportation or commuting. Transportation costs can add up quickly if we aren't frugal. Rising gas prices make public transportation or carpooling the preferable choice for most people, but this will vary from place to place. But if you live in an area lacking transit options, you may need to rely on a car to go to and from work. Nonetheless, regardless of the mode of transportation, always take steps to cut down on expenses. If you must drive, consider carpooling, getting regular maintenance, filling up at discount stations, parking in free lots, and using the business vehicle. If you can, take the bus, train, or subway by purchasing an annual pass or having your employer foot the bill. The best, although not practical alternative in most cases, is riding a bike. This will not only get you in shape, but also save tremendous amounts of gas money. And although there are hundreds of other things we can discuss, to keep the video short, we will not. In the end, it cannot be denied that living frugally is difficult. Maintaining a healthy financial situation requires constant vigilance and commitment. However, the trade-off is a more fulfilling existence and the chance at a life you have always dreamt of. This brings us to the end of the video. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.